Taurus. If these words have reached you on August the 5th, 2026, pause for a moment before you move on, because what you have been sensing is far more than a passing emotion. Something profound has already begun to rearrange itself beneath the surface of your life. The shift you keep trying to explain away is not simply a mood, a coincidence, or wishful thinking. An unseen turning point has quietly redirected the course ahead of you, allowing one chapter to close while another begins to reveal itself with surprising clarity. The signs appearing around you are arriving with remarkable precision, almost as though every conversation, every unexpected feeling, and every seemingly ordinary moment has been carefully placed to lead your attention somewhere you have been overlooking. Before this message is complete, you will understand why the path ahead can no longer unfold the way it once would have, and why recognizing this rare celestial opening before it slips away may change everything that follows. If you notice your own story reflected in these words, take that as your confirmation to remain present, because what comes next may answer questions you have been carrying much longer than you realize. Taurus. The first thing we need to explore is the extraordinary energetic movement unfolding above you this very week, because this is not simply a pleasant atmosphere or a vague spiritual feeling. The heavens are arranging themselves in a way that reaches directly into the deepest layers of your personal life. At this moment, the sun is traveling through Leo, illuminating the fourth house of your birth chart, the place connected with your home, your family, your emotional roots, your sense of belonging, and the foundation upon which your inner world has always depended. While many people experience Leo's season as a time filled with confidence, celebration, creativity, and visible expression, your experience is entirely different. For you, this brilliant solar light is shining into rooms of your heart that very few people are ever allowed to enter. Instead of asking you to become louder, it is asking you to become more honest about what truly supports your soul. Leo naturally seeks recognition and authentic self-expression, yet because this fiery energy is activating such a private part of your chart, it directs your attention inward rather than outward. It gently but persistently asks you to examine the place you have always worked so hard to protect. It asks whether your emotional sanctuary still brings you peace, whether your living environment still reflects who you have become, and whether the relationships you rely upon genuinely create safety or simply preserve familiarity. As a fixed earth sign, stability has always been one of your greatest strengths. You naturally build slowly, value consistency, and prefer solid ground beneath your feet before taking your next step. Predictability offers comfort, permanence creates confidence, and maintaining control over your surroundings has often felt like the surest way to protect your heart. Because of this, sudden disruption has never been something you welcome easily. Yet throughout this Leo season, invisible pressure has been steadily gathering around these very foundations. It has not arrived all at once. Instead, it has built quietly, almost patiently, until now. During this week, that pressure reaches a defining moment, allowing something that has remained uncertain for weeks, perhaps even for months, to finally reveal its true meaning. What once seemed confusing begins arranging itself into a pattern you can no longer ignore. The timing becomes even more remarkable when you recognize what is approaching next. The collective is moving directly toward eclipse season, and in only 1 week, a powerful solar eclipse will form in Leo. Eclipses rarely introduce themselves gently. They interrupt routines, compress time, accelerate necessary endings, and move people toward futures they may have hesitated to choose on their own. They dismantle structures that have survived only because habit kept them standing, and they expose possibilities that caution prevented from becoming reality. Since this eclipse activates your root axis, the opening days of August function like the final moments of a countdown. Questions surrounding your home, your living arrangements, family relationships, emotional boundaries, or the people closest to your heart are steadily moving toward an unavoidable point of decision. The universe is no longer encouraging you to remain comfortable simply because familiarity feels safer. Instead, it invites you to recognize the difference between genuine peace and tension that has merely become familiar through repetition. At the same time, another important movement is unfolding. Mars is completing its passage through Gemini, where it has been energizing your second house of finances, personal values, material security, and self-worth. During this transit, your thoughts surrounding money and resources have likely become quicker, more active, and far more flexible than usual. You may have found yourself questioning the value of your work, reconsidering your income, evaluating how your time is being invested, or searching for more effective ways to create lasting security. Mars in Gemini has demanded adaptability, encouraging rapid thinking and constant reassessment rather than comfortable routine. Yet this chapter is nearing its conclusion. Within only a few days, Mars will enter Cancer, shifting into your third house of communication, mindset, learning, and your everyday surroundings. As this emotional water sign receives the fiery influence of Mars, conversations begin carrying greater emotional significance than before. Words become heavier because they begin revealing truths that practical discussions could never fully express. People around you may naturally look toward you for courage, guidance, or emotional strength, while within yourself you may suddenly feel an undeniable desire to speak honestly about feelings you have quietly carried for far too long. There is one more influence shaping this extraordinary period, and it reaches even deeper beneath the visible surface. Saturn is currently retrograde in Aries, moving through the 12th house of your chart, the realm connected with the subconscious mind, profound healing, hidden fears, spiritual reflection, and quiet endings. A retrograde Saturn here does not create brand new difficulties. Instead, it gently uncovers emotional patterns, silent worries, and deeply rooted beliefs that have remained buried beneath years of responsibility, discipline, productivity, and practical living. If you have avoided acknowledging an important truth within yourself, if you have continually silenced your own voice, or if you have convinced yourself that exhaustion is simply something to tolerate, Saturn now insists that these hidden realities receive your attention. This process is not meant to punish you. It is an invitation to release emotional burdens that were never intended to become permanent companions. It offers an opportunity to place down weight you have carried simply because you forgot it was possible to live without it. When every one of these planetary movements is viewed together, the picture becomes unmistakable. This week resembles standing quietly at the edge of the ocean in the final moments before the tide changes direction. The horizon appears almost identical, the landscape seems familiar, and nothing dramatic has visibly happened yet. Nevertheless, somewhere deep within you, beyond logic and beyond ordinary thought, you already recognize that everything is beginning to shift. The quiet heaviness resting inside your chest, the subtle feeling that something important is approaching, the persistent awareness that your life is preparing for meaningful change. These sensations are not simply fear or uncertainty. They are the language of your intuition. And for someone born under the steady wisdom of Taurus, that inner knowing deserves your trust far more often than your doubts do. Stay with this journey, because what follows will explore exactly how these powerful energies are preparing to reshape your closest relationships, your emotional connections, and the bonds that matter most. And understanding that next chapter may help you recognize why this turning point has arrived exactly when it has. Taurus, before you dismiss what has been happening in your relationships as ordinary timing or emotional coincidence, there is something you need to recognize. Beneath every conversation, every unexpected silence, every lingering thought about someone you cannot quite forget, a deeper transformation has been unfolding without demanding your attention until now. The greatest revelation waiting for you this week is not about another person changing. It is about the moment you realize that the version of yourself who believed carrying every burden alone was the safest way to live is beginning to disappear. For a long time, independence has felt like your greatest protection. You have learned to wear resilience so naturally that even the people closest to you often assume you never need reassurance, comfort, or understanding. You present yourself as dependable, steady, and capable of handling whatever life places before you. You convince yourself that if your responsibilities are under control, your finances remain stable, and your daily routine continues without disruption, then your emotional world must also be secure. Yet this week introduces an entirely different lesson. The energy surrounding you refuses to accept calm appearances as proof that everything inside is truly at peace. It reaches beneath the composed expression you have perfected over the years and gently asks whether the strength you display has become a bridge connecting you to others or a wall keeping everyone at a distance. With the sun continuing its journey through your fourth house, illuminating the deepest emotional foundations of your chart, while powerful cosmic tension activates your relationship axis. The universe is directing an unmistakable light toward the emotional safety that exists inside your closest connections. Whether those bonds belong to a romantic partner, a lifelong friend, or a member of your family, they are now becoming mirrors, reflecting truths that can no longer remain hidden beneath polite conversations or comfortable routines. This is not the kind of week that rewards pretending everything is fine, simply to preserve temporary harmony. It is not a time for quietly placing difficult feelings beneath the surface in hopes they will disappear on their own. Instead, life begins encouraging honest emotional presence, even when that honesty feels unfamiliar. If you are currently sharing your life with someone, you may notice that your partner begins asking for something deeper than practical support or physical presence. Whether they express it directly or without realizing it themselves, they are seeking access to the emotional world you so carefully protect. They want to understand what exists behind the calm voice, the reliable decisions, and the composed exterior that has become so familiar. During these moments, resist the instinct to withdraw into silence or to anchor yourself more firmly in defensiveness simply because vulnerability feels uncertain. Speaking openly about fear does not weaken your character. Admitting doubt does not erase your stability. Allowing another person to witness your emotional truth does not diminish your strength. In reality, it reveals a deeper kind of courage that cannot be measured through endurance alone. If you are currently single, the atmosphere surrounding your heart is preparing for an entirely different experience, one that carries genuine potential rather than empty excitement. As Mars prepares to leave Gemini and enter Cancer, moving into your communication sector, while Venus gradually approaches its entrance into Libra, another sign ruled by Venus. Your natural energy begins attracting people who are searching for sincerity instead of superficial attraction. The people drawn toward you now are more likely to recognize loyalty, emotional depth, and lasting commitment than temporary excitement. Yet because your nature prefers relationships that grow patiently over time, someone expressing clear interest may feel unexpectedly bold or emotionally direct. Their confidence could challenge the rhythm that usually makes you feel comfortable. If that happens, pause before stepping backward, simply because the unfamiliar feels risky. Sometimes the strongest foundations are created not because you planned every detail, but because someone possessed the courage to invite you beyond the emotional boundaries you built to protect yourself. There is another possibility quietly forming beneath the surface of this week, one that deserves your attention. As eclipse season steadily approaches the powerful solar eclipse in Leo, unfinished emotional chapters often begin finding their way back into awareness. A familiar face from your past may suddenly reappear. A previous relationship could unexpectedly return to your thoughts. An old friendship, unresolved family pattern, or emotional memory connected with your sense of security may once again move into your life. If something like this unfolds, do not immediately assume the universe wants you to repeat history. More often, eclipses bring unfinished experiences back into view so that you can finally see them with new understanding. Instead of asking whether the past deserves another opportunity, ask yourself a different question. Notice how your body responds. Pay attention to whether your heart feels trapped inside the same emotional cycle, or whether you recognize that you have quietly become someone entirely different. Eclipses possess a remarkable ability to reveal whether an old situation still holds influence over your life, or whether you have already outgrown it without fully realizing how much healing has taken place. Sometimes the return of an old chapter serves only one purpose. It allows you to witness the distance you have already traveled. It becomes undeniable evidence that your wisdom has expanded, your emotional resilience has matured, and your understanding of yourself is stronger than it once was. Another important influence is also preparing to reshape your emotional landscape as Venus moves toward Libra later this month. Libra governs your sixth house, the area connected with your everyday routines, your physical well-being, your habits, and the way care is expressed through ordinary moments rather than dramatic gestures. As your ruling planet enters this balanced and harmonious space, relationships begin feeling noticeably gentler. Daily communication becomes more natural. Small acts of kindness begin replacing misunderstandings that once lingered without resolution. Emotional support becomes something shared instead of silently expected. Love gradually shifts away from tension and toward cooperation, allowing connection to develop through consistency rather than conflict. The message the universe wants you to hear this week is beautifully simple, yet it may also be one of the hardest truths for you to fully accept. Authentic love, whether it arrives through another person or through healthier boundaries within yourself, is never designed to take away your stability. The relationship that truly belongs in your life will not disturb your inner peace simply by asking you to be seen. The boundary that protects your heart will not isolate you from genuine connection. Instead, both become part of the very peace you have been searching for. The individuals stepping closer to you during this season are not asking you to become someone different. They are inviting you to reveal the person who has always existed beneath the carefully built defenses. Those are not the same thing, and understanding that distinction may become one of the most meaningful emotional breakthroughs of this entire period. Stay with this unfolding journey, because the next chapter turns toward your career, your financial direction, and your deeper sense of purpose, where equally significant changes are already beginning to take shape. Taurus. The next chapter of this journey turns toward an area of life that has always mattered deeply to you, the work you dedicate yourself to, the security you create with your own hands, and the purpose quietly guiding every practical decision you make. Few signs understand the value of patience the way you do. You've never been interested in shortcuts that disappear as quickly as they appear. Your instinct has always been to create something that can endure, something with substance, something capable of supporting not only the present moment, but the future as well. Like someone carefully laying stone after stone to construct a foundation that will withstand every storm, you naturally invest your energy where lasting results can grow. Yet the cosmic landscape unfolding around you now is encouraging an honest examination of those very foundations. It asks whether the professional path and financial structures you continue to protect are truly building the future your soul desires, or whether they have gradually become comfortable patterns that quietly prevent your growth. During the past several weeks, Mars has been traveling through Gemini, activating your second house of finances, personal resources, self-worth, and material security. This influence has kept your mind unusually active around everything connected to money and value. You may have found yourself reviewing budgets more carefully, exploring different sources of income, reconsidering investments, or responding to unexpected changes involving financial matters. Your thoughts have likely moved more quickly than usual, constantly evaluating how your time, energy, and talents are being exchanged for stability. Now that chapter begins transforming. As Mars prepares to leave Gemini and enter Cancer, moving into your third house of communication, agreements, learning, and local connections, your attention shifts from endless planning toward meaningful action. Instead of simply thinking about financial possibilities, you become increasingly prepared to express your ideas, negotiate your position, and create tangible movement through conversations that matter. If you have delayed presenting an important proposal, discussing compensation, signing an agreement, requesting recognition for your true value, or carefully reviewing the terms of a professional partnership, this transition provides both the emotional determination and intuitive confidence to move forward. Discussions that once felt uncertain, delayed, or lacking direction begin finding momentum. Rather than remaining trapped inside endless analysis, your focus naturally turns toward creating practical outcomes and securing commitments that provide genuine stability. Financial matters also enter an important period of clarification as eclipse season continues approaching. Long-standing questions surrounding income, investments, employment, or material security are gradually moving toward decisive moments. For some, this could appear as a financial issue, finally reaching resolution after a long period of uncertainty. For others, it may arrive through the realization that a particular investment, career path, or professional commitment no longer deserves the amount of energy being poured into it. It may even reshape the way you define security itself. Taurus often remains loyal to jobs, financial habits, or familiar routines long after they have completed their purpose, not because they continue bringing fulfillment, but because predictability feels safer than stepping into unfamiliar territory. This week gently reminds you that your greatest source of security has never existed inside one position, one paycheck, or one carefully maintained routine. Your true value has always lived within your abilities, your perseverance, and your capacity to create lasting results wherever life carries you. At the same time, Saturn retrograde continues its quiet work inside your 12th house, reaching beneath the visible surface of your professional life. Rather than creating external obstacles, it encourages you to investigate the deeper motivations driving your daily efforts. If a quiet exhaustion has followed you into work each morning, or if you have sensed that enormous amounts of energy are being invested into something that no longer nourishes your spirit, Saturn asks an important question. Are you working tirelessly because your heart genuinely believes in what you are building, or are you unconsciously chasing productivity out of an old fear that there will never be enough? That distinction matters more now than ever before. You were not born simply to move from obligation to obligation, paying bills, maintaining routines, and surviving one responsibility after another. Your nature was designed to create beauty, cultivate stability, and leave behind something meaningful that continues existing long after today's efforts are complete. The cosmic atmosphere surrounding this week quietly encourages you to bring your daily work into closer alignment with that deeper purpose. Perhaps it means establishing healthier boundaries, so your own dreams receive the same attention you give everyone else's expectations. Perhaps it means finally beginning a project that reflects who you truly are instead of who you have been trying to become for someone else. As this transformation continues unfolding, pay close attention to the messages arriving through your own body and mind, because they contain some of the clearest guidance available during this entire period. Taurus, your connection with the physical world has always been one of your greatest strengths. You experience life through your senses, through touch, comfort, beauty, texture, presence, and the reassuring feeling of solid ground beneath your feet. When your inner and outer worlds exist in harmony, you possess a remarkable steadiness that resembles the quiet strength of an ancient tree whose roots reach deep beneath the earth. Yet when pressure continues accumulating without release, your body becomes the place where that emotional weight quietly settles. Unlike signs that process stress primarily through thoughts, you often carry it physically until your body begins speaking on behalf of emotions your mind has postponed acknowledging. This week, those physical messages become far more difficult to overlook. Saturn retrograde continues moving through your 12th house, the area associated with hidden stress, deep restoration, subconscious healing, and meaningful rest. While the growing energetic intensity leading toward the upcoming solar eclipse in Leo adds additional pressure upon your nervous system. Traditional medical astrology associates Taurus with the neck, throat, shoulders, and vocal cords. Take a quiet moment and notice your body without trying to change anything. Observe whether your shoulders have slowly lifted toward your ears without your awareness. Notice whether your jaw feels tight from holding tension. Ask yourself whether your throat has carried a persistent heaviness, almost as though words remain trapped inside because speaking them has seemed more difficult than remaining silent. None of these sensations are random. They represent your body's honest response to the emotional load you have been carrying. You have spent so much time remaining dependable, supporting others, fulfilling responsibilities, and maintaining stability that genuine opportunities to completely release that pressure have become increasingly rare. Restless nights, thoughts that refuse to slow down after darkness falls, waking without feeling restored, or discovering that your body feels exhausted while your mind continues racing are all meaningful signs that your nervous system has been operating far beyond its natural rhythm. There is no prize waiting for enduring this through determination alone. Your body is not working against you. It is communicating with remarkable wisdom, asking for restoration before exhaustion becomes impossible to ignore. One of the most important lessons available to you during this week concerns the true meaning of rest. For someone with your nature, sitting quietly while endlessly scrolling through information as tomorrow's responsibilities continue filling your mind does not create genuine recovery. It simply postpones stress without allowing it to dissolve. Between the constant noise of the modern world and the powerful celestial movements unfolding around you, your mind needs moments when no additional input is entering at all. Reconnecting with the earth becomes one of the most supportive choices available during these coming days. Allow your feet to touch natural ground. Spend time among trees or growing plants. Care for a garden. Soak in a warm bath. Gently stretch the muscles surrounding your neck and shoulders, where tension often settles unnoticed. Most importantly, permit yourself periods of complete stillness, where nothing needs to be achieved, managed, repaired, or solved. Emotionally, this period also directs your attention toward your voice, because your throat carries symbolic significance as well as physical importance. Taurus often chooses silence in order to preserve harmony, remaining patient through uncomfortable situations long after healthier boundaries should have been established. Eventually, those unspoken feelings accumulate until they erupt all at once. The universe is offering a gentler path this week. Instead of waiting until your body forces you to stop, allow yourself to express your truth with calmness, honesty, and clarity, while your heart is still at peace. In doing so, you create space for healing before tension becomes pain, and you allow your inner strength to be expressed not through endurance alone, but through the quiet confidence of speaking what your soul has known all along. Taurus, after everything we have explored together beyond the changing family dynamics, the adjustments taking place in your career, the questions surrounding your financial future, and even the physical exhaustion your body has been trying to communicate, there is an even greater transformation quietly unfolding within you. This is the part of the journey that cannot be measured through external achievements or explained through ordinary logic. It is the awakening taking place beneath every visible event, the silent evolution of your spirit. You have always carried the energy of the zodiac's anchor, the one who creates stability when everything else appears uncertain. Yet an anchor is not meant to remain forever in still water that no longer supports growth. Its true purpose is to provide strength while allowing the vessel it protects to travel toward new horizons. In the same way, your deepest gift has never been remaining unchanged. Your gift has always been your ability to remain centered while allowing your life to become more honest, more meaningful, and more closely aligned with your authentic self. That is precisely what the approaching solar eclipse in Leo is inviting you to consider as it prepares to activate your house of roots, home, and emotional foundations. It presents one of the most important spiritual questions you have faced in a long time. Is the life you have carefully constructed truly a place where your soul feels at peace? Or have you continued preserving certain structures simply because the uncertainty of change feels more frightening than remaining where you are? This question reaches far beyond your physical surroundings. It touches your beliefs, your emotional habits, your relationships, and the quiet promises you have made to yourself over the years. Taurus often protects extraordinary emotional sensitivity beneath a calm, practical exterior. You have become remarkably skilled at convincing both yourself and everyone around you that if responsibilities are being handled and daily life continues functioning, then everything inside must also be well. Yet the celestial movements surrounding this eclipse season are gently dissolving that illusion. Alongside the solar eclipse in Leo, a powerful lunar eclipse in Pisces is also approaching, illuminating your 11th house of dreams, future aspirations, friendships, and the communities that influence the direction of your life. Together, these eclipses begin removing outdated beliefs that have quietly shaped your decisions for much longer than you may realize. They reveal that genuine security has never depended upon preventing change from happening. Real security is born from the quiet certainty that no matter what changes around you, you possess the wisdom, resilience, and inner worth necessary to adapt, rebuild, and flourish again. Throughout the remainder of August, every important cosmic movement serves this larger purpose. None of what is unfolding is designed to create meaningless disorder. This entire period represents a profound realignment intended to free you from patterns that have quietly limited your growth. For someone who naturally treasures consistency and dependable routines, the feeling of disruption can easily be mistaken for danger. Yet what you have been sensing inside your chest is not a warning that something terrible is approaching. It is the unmistakable signal that your spirit is awakening to possibilities it can no longer ignore. That restlessness is your soul recognizing that it has become too expansive for the life it once believed was enough. It is quietly preparing you for a chapter that offers greater authenticity, deeper fulfillment, and a richer expression of who you have become. As you move through this extraordinary week, there are several gentle choices capable of helping you remain aligned with everything these cosmic energies are trying to reveal. Begin by giving yourself permission to have the sincere conversation you have postponed regarding your home, your emotional boundaries, or the needs that have remained unspoken for too long. Allow your words to emerge from honesty rather than self-protection. Speak with openness instead of defensiveness. Trusting that truth delivered with kindness creates understanding far more effectively than silence ever can. Also remain attentive to any memories, familiar emotional patterns, or people from your past who unexpectedly reappear. Their return does not automatically mean they belong in your future. More often, these experiences arrive so you can observe them through new eyes, release what no longer serves you, and recognize the remarkable distance you have already traveled. Let them become reminders of your growth rather than invitations to repeat old cycles. Your physical well-being deserves equal attention during this period. Offer your body the rest it has quietly been requesting without allowing guilt to convince you that recovery is unproductive. Releasing accumulated tension from your neck, your throat, and your shoulders supports not only physical comfort, but also the energetic renewal taking place within you. Caring for yourself is not an interruption of your purpose. It is part of your purpose. continue reflecting upon what security truly means. Ask yourself whether the choices you make today are guided by your vision of the future you genuinely wish to create, or by fear of letting go of what has simply become familiar. These are not the same motivation, and recognizing the difference may transform every important decision that follows. Above all, trust the movement already unfolding inside your life. The changes approaching are not arriving to destroy the foundation you have spent years building. They are revealing the places where that foundation has quietly weakened, so that something stronger, healthier, and capable of supporting the decades ahead can finally be created. Taurus. The intensity you have been experiencing is real. You are not imagining that life feels different because the timeline surrounding you is genuinely shifting. Yet you are not standing helplessly beside these events, watching them happen without your participation. You remain the architect of your own future, and the universe is gently encouraging you to build a life that truly reflects the person you have become, instead of the version of yourself that existed years ago. Before we conclude, there is one final truth worthy of carrying with you throughout the rest of this month. Everything taking place this week is not happening against you. It is unfolding in support of you. Every realization, every emotional breakthrough, every conversation, every release of physical tension, and every moment of clarity belongs to a much larger story that life has been quietly writing on your behalf. Step by step, you are being guided toward greater peace within yourself, deeper emotional safety in your relationships, and a level of self-worth that no outside circumstance can ever take away. Continue trusting the wisdom arising from within. Trust the timing, even when every answer has not yet appeared. Trust that the same strength which has carried you through every challenge before will also carry you gracefully through this transformation. If these words have spoken directly to your heart, remain connected, because another reading will soon reveal what the stars continue unfolding for your path. Until that moment arrives, stay grounded in your truth. Remain patient with the process, and remember that your greatest strength has never been resisting change. It has always been your extraordinary ability to transform, while never losing the steady heart that makes you unmistakably Taurus.